You ready, Dad? Ready for this? Yeah.
He's like, yeah, whatever. He's like, I've been waiting on you, son.
Waiting on you.
All right.
Okay.
Dad, I'm so good at these intros to watch.
Hey, Dad, watch this.
I'm going to mess it up.
He's so nervous.
I'm so nervous. My hands are clammy. All right. Ready. All right.
Walking Blind is hosted by overly emotional dudes who overthink and overanalyze everything. Nothing the hosts say should be taken as medical advice or opinion. They're not professionals. They're about to make that very clear.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Walking Blind podcast, the podcast where we like to normalize checking in on your homies. Guys, this is episode 100. And because it's episode 100, we brought a very, very, very special guest. Really quick, I'm Mike, and that's that's Mike over there.
100 episodes. We still don't know how to do this.
100 episodes in, still don't know how to do an intro. I've known this guy literally my whole life. I'm so excited to have my father, my dad, Mario Perez, Dr. Mario Perez.
Yeah. Welcome.
Thank you.
This is awesome. We've actually been wanting to have you on this show for a while.
Yeah.
And it worked out for
Episode 20, episode 50, episode...
all the
mile
iconic episodes we wanted you on, but now we've got you for 100, and that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So here we are. Long time coming.
Okay.
Do we want to jump into the mental health check first and go from there? We'll get that done.
Sure,
That way
squirrel.
we can just talk.
All right, let's do it.
All right, we'll start with the mental health check. Mental health check is where we like to check in weekly to see where we're at mentally. That way we can kind of just keep track of if things are going well. Maybe what are we doing? What's helping us? And if we're not doing so great, maybe what's going on, or what are we neglecting to do that is keeping us in a funk. So, Mike, do you want to go first? And
Sure.
so, Dad, what the mental health check is like?
Okay.
I've been good. This week has been busy, especially last weekend was super busy, but it was kind of a good busy. It kind of lit a fire under a bunch of things. We shot a video. We shot a music video on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
First time that all the TC guys have been in the same room in about a year.
Wow.
Actually, maybe even more than that, because Steve didn't even do the October run with us when we were out with you guys. So it was
That's right.
it was kind of cool to have everybody in the same room for a while, and we kind of talked about the band and what our plans are, and if we're gonna do this, are we gonna do it right? So that was kind of cool to kind of get things rolling with that again, and now that your boy's playing guitar. It looks like I'm jumping in and taking over the helm and writing some songs too. So, yeah. And I've shown you a couple of the ideas, and
Sick.
torture culture's coming back heavier than ever.
So for anyone who doesn't know, and for explain to my father, so Mike started a band, or Mike and Jake and our buddy started a band over year and a half ago?
Like 2 years ago.
2 years ago it started. They released this really good EP, the song, they released it, and then they did a handful of shows, and then they went with No Bragging Rights, who came with us to the Pacific Northwest last October, and then they just stopped.
And we just,
Yeah, so a year later, now they are,
yeah,
they're like, oh yeah, we did fun music, let's do it again.
Good.
yeah. So that was cool. It was my mom's birthday, so happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday, Mom.
Oh, nice.
And then we surprised her with we went to a hot tofu soup place, and she had no idea. My dad actually pulled off a surprise, which is shocking.
Wow.
So that was cool. And then we're kind of going backwards. And then Friday we had the Burner State show and video shoot. So yeah, it was kind of just a busy but good busy weekend. Yeah, and other than that, I mean, everything has been, kind of running pretty smoothly, almost too smoothly. It makes me worried that something's gonna come in and throw a wrench in everything.
No. Ride the wave. Ride the wave as long as you can.
But we're riding the wave of positivity here.
Yes.
Good.
What about you guys?
Dad, where are you at mentally this last week? And
Well, I've been in transition. I've been serving as an interim pastor for close to 2 years here in Paris. And this last Saturday, we did we announced that we're having a new pastor, a full-time pastor. They're happy with that. So we were doing a lot of work at the church, trying to get things ready for the new person. And it's nice to see a lot of the projects that have been completed and that kind of thing. I merged 2 churches, and so that was interesting and fun, and to see it moving forward. So that's where I've been doing that kind of work.
Nice.
That's been what I've been up to.
This is your retirement.
Yeah, it's my retirement, right?
when did you when did you officially retire?
In 18. Officially in 18. And I was retired for 3 months.
3 months. But in that time, you guys got to do a month-long cruise.
Oh yeah,
Australia?
we did. We went to Australia and New Zealand. I have a pastor friend. In fact, they were our neighbors, and so when we were going to go to Australia, we told him we were going to go on a cruise to New Zealand, and he says, "Can we go with you?" So sure. So we stayed with him for a couple of weeks in Australia and really got to know a lot of Australia.
That's awesome.
Bondi Beach, and he took us, to the Opera House. We went on that bridge. We had just a lovely time. And then his wife's from New Zealand, so we had people there. I mean, they just really showed us a great time. And so we that's one of our best vacations or cruises that we've had.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that was our retirement.
That was
there.
his retirement.
Yeah.
Australia is one of the places that I've always wanted to go, and I haven't had the chance yet. But also one of my favorite things about Australia is there's a picture of Mike in front of the Opera House, for the Opera House, right? From the first time he was there, and then the most recent time when he was on tour.
10 years later.
10 years later, and he's wearing the same outfit. He's wearing the same khaki shorts, same black T-shirt. It's awesome.
Yeah. That's a nice place.
I had a moment on that run. I was like, I gotta make sure that I don't wear khaki, because I remember the picture. I saw the picture. I just gotta remember to not wear khaki when we're in Sydney.
Yeah.
Didn't even
Completely forgot.
completely forgot. Awesome. Well, yeah, my dad was retired all of 3 months,
Yeah.
The whole 3 months, yeah.
and then but you're
But
doing
it's
what
been
you
very
love.
fulfilling. It's been good it's good to help people
Yeah.
and to be able to meet people and help them in any way we can. Serving, trying to and keeping the thing moving forward for the next pastor that comes, and that's basically the job of interim. You got to keep the thing moving and prepare the place for him or her, whoever it is.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's been a good experience.
That's great.
I really enjoyed it.
Awesome.
Mike?
Mentally for me, I've been good, man. I feel like this last weekend was busy, as it tends to be. It was good though. I feel like everything going on was nice for me. I always say singing for me is like the best coping mechanism for anything going on in my life, and I got to do a lot of singing this weekend. Burner State had 2 shows, I guess. We played at the Union Barber on Friday night, which was a lot of fun. I love that it just like we get to hang out with like we have like that little group of friends that comes out and
Yeah.
hangs out. Love it. Kind of like high school, like
Yeah.
like the high school shows where it's just like basically just playing for like your buddies. And then Saturday was fun. Went to a friend's birthday party in out in LA. And then on Sunday, so Sunday was crazy because I worked, and I was already gonna be off like a half hour early from work because I needed to be in Gardena.
Yeah.
Burner State had another it's like a live show thing, and so I'd already requested to be off like a half hour early so I can get there on time. But like around, I was supposed to be off at 1:00, and then at like I feel like 11:30, my allergies were acting up all morning, but like at 11:30 I was like almost tripping in drinks. Sorry, bro. But that's like I feel bad because there's times where like when I have allergies, like my eyes are just like super watery and I just look crazy, and I feel bad that like I'm making drinks for people. But I'm not contagious. I've whatever. But I'm sure the optics of it
It doesn't look great.
It doesn't look good.
Yeah.
But when it's a problem is when my nose drips, because like my nose will drip, like faucet.
And then you go to wipe it and they see your pinky.
And that's thanks to me. I have allergies.
Yeah, got my allergies from my dad.
Yeah, I almost mowed the lawn this weekend, but I was like, wait, we got the podcast coming.
Oh,
We
you
don't
would've got us
like to-
both.
Yeah.
You would have got us both. So I'm like dying at work, and then they're like, we have take Claritin, we have some, and I was like, I can't because it'll dry out my throat. And so I was like, I'll be fine, and I wasn't. It just got worse and worse, and so then I like went home earlier, so I was like, I'm just gonna head over to the place, and so I get there, and like I could tell the guys and everyone's all nervous because like I look awful. I'm like, my eyes are all crazy, my nose all stuffy. They're like, are you gonna do this? I'm like, yeah, fine. And I will be, because like for me, I knew early on in touring and stuff that like even if I'm stuffed up, I can still sing.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's fine. And by the time like we started going, the adrenaline kicked in, and I was fine. I got to the set. So yeah, so it was a good it was a nice. Oh, and then also I got home at like 7ish, I think. I was asleep before 8:00.
On Sunday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was shot on Sunday too. I came home, showered, and basically went to bed.
Knocked out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm doing well. And before we move on, I want to ask in the video, did you have a microphone when you're singing?
Yes.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I knew how much grief I gave you
Yeah.
about you not having a microphone and standing in a tree going like this.
Dad, I've been doing music for a long time. You know this.
Yeah, right.
You know this. In the early years when I was playing guitar, I had my guitar and I was singing into the mic.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I gave up guitar, I was holding my microphone and I was singing. And I sing into the microphone. When we were filming a music video for the song "Walking Blind," we went into the woods to shoot the shot, like of how it was gonna be. So we're in the woods. I don't have any. There's no gear. It's just shots of me. Like everyone had different shots. And then we had a boombox that would play the music, and I would just sing along to the music. And then we're literally about to record. I'm like, wait, I don't have a microphone. I'm like, I'll just do like things with your hands. I was like, what?
But to be fair, it would have looked weird if you were just standing in a bush with a microphone. Like, what does this have to do?
I guess.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
in a sense, it worked out, but
It just felt very awkward because I don't sing without a microphone ever. I'm not good with. I don't know.
there's little things that because with this video, Noe and I really worked together on it, but I kind of directed the whole thing, right? Because I had a vision that I wanted, and I would just kind of rely on him for like, how do we achieve what I want to get, right? So it was a nice little collab. But one of the things because we played, Steve had his drums, but we didn't put amps in the shots.
Yeah,
So-
because they don't own any.
Yeah, that's part of it. They don't own gear. But then another thing that like, so what I did was I took cables and I plugged them into their guitars and then I taped them on their strap behind them so it just looked like they had a wireless.
Oh, okay.
And they were like, we never thought of that. And then I was like, just those little fine details that
drive you nuts.
that
in
drive
other
me
music
insane.
videos.
Yeah. So I made sure to cover all those bases. And even Jake was like, that's why it's nice to be in a band with you, because you're like band dad. You have everything. I had tape in my backpack. I had all the stuff that we needed to make sure we had everything. So, but yeah, I brought a microphone.
Nice. All right. Well, so I don't know when anyone's watching this episode, but we just had Veterans Day this last weekend. My dad is a vet, Army vet. You actually got drafted, right?
Yes, during the Vietnam War.
Wow.
What was that like?
Well, I was in school, and you needed to have be a full time, which was 12 units at the time, and I had to work, so I went below the 12 units, and so I was drafted. Was inducted in Fort Lewis, Washington. This was actually, the Vietnam War wasn't at its peak. It was just starting to. So I was in Fort Lewis, Washington. That's where I went into the induction. We got all our gear, everything we were going to have, use and stuff, measured up for uniform and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Which he can still fit in.
Yeah, like a tight jacket. What do you call it? A straight
Straight
jacket.
jacket.
And you were what, 18 at the time?
Yeah, the early 20s.
The clothes that I have from that era do not fit me.
Yeah, I'm saying.
Yeah, so and then I went from Fort Lewis, Washington. I did my training in Fort Sam Houston. Fort Sam Houston is where they train all the medics, all the corpsmen. The what they call your MOS, what you're going to do in the service.
Mm-hmm.
So I went there, and I trained there for medics. Helicopter. We worked. Then I ended up in Virginia, Fort Lee, Virginia, at Kenner Army Hospital. And so, yeah, that was where I completed my military at that place. It was a good experience. Met a lot of people there, and it was good. Lost a lot of friends, but during the Vietnam War. But yeah.
What was that at the time? What was the feeling of being drafted? Was that just something that you guys felt and knew was going to come, or was that still like a scary thought, or was this like, hey, I'm stepping up for my country, or like what was the?
That was a very different era because it was not a popular war.
Right.
And people, it got so bad. There was demonstrations and when you go off base, you didn't wear your uniform.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when we got drafted, we knew that they had real big drafts. I mean, when I got drafted, there was buses waiting for us. And a lot of young guys went to Canada, Mexico. And, but yeah, it was, like I mentioned, today, they're against the war.
Mm-hmm.
But they support the military. They support the soldiers.
Right.
It wasn't like that back then. It was, they were opposed to the war, and they felt like, we should not be there. And, but anyway, it went well. I completed. I came out a sergeant. So it was a good experience. I had my own barracks. I had a barracks with around, I guess, about 40 soldiers or 30, somewhere in there.
Wow.
So it was good.
One of my early memories of realizing my dad has seen some things was when I got toe surgery.
Mm-hmm.
I had to get my toenail removed, basically, because my ingrown toenail was about to poke through the other side of my skin.
Wait. You had surgery because you had a really bad ingrown toenail?
Dude, it was really bad. When I tell people that, they're like, "Oh yeah, I've had it. I've had it where they just." I was like, "No. Like mine was like a crazy like, they had to solder my nail in half basically, and then they had to cut my nail in half and then almost like a soldering so that it wouldn't grow past.
Yeah.
It was so bad. It literally was about to poke through the other side.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was really bad.
It's swollen.
And so I remember the doctor was like young, and like where my dad was sitting, he was just like, "Oh, you're probably gonna want to move. Like it's gonna." And my dad's like, "Oh, it's fine." And I remember like thinking like, "Wow," and then him doing the stuff, and my dad just sitting there just like
Just watching
watching
bleed
it.
out.
Yeah, no big deal. Like, oh my goodness.
Was it your right foot?
It was I think it was my right. Oh no, I don't remember now. Maybe my left foot.
It's funny. When I was a kid, I was in Hawaii, and I can't remember if it was my right foot or left foot, but I got my shoe eaten up by an escalator.
Whoa.
My.
Pulled in escalator and like it.
That's a legitimate nightmare.
Yeah,
I feel like.
and it like ripped the nail off my big toe and everything like that. And I was a kid, and I was like crying, and it was like all
You guys didn't see the pants out of the place?
no. Not back then, you didn't. It's like,
Literally walk it off.
yeah, they're literally like, "We'll get you new shoes." To put a
Dude.
Band-Aid on it, you know.
That's wild.
Yeah, Mario put his foot under a
What?
lawnmower with a tennis shoe. Yeah,
Oh my
God. Put his foot under there.
Why?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. He was trying to see what it.
I just want to see what it would do.
What it would
His
do?
tennis shoe. Yeah, it tore
My
up his
brother.
tennis shoe.
Oh man.
Anyway, so I guess one of the big reasons to have you on here, Dad, and is a lot of it is like what I've been saying on stage for the past
Decade?
past
More?
decade. You know,
Yeah.
I share the story of the conversation that we had. I guess it's really been about 12 years because it was before obviously had the idea and then wrote the song. But so like the reason I feel like the song Cycles is an important song and why it means a lot to me is because for anyone who doesn't know you, I always tell people how just patient you are, how kind you are, and growing up, obviously you're my dad. Growing up with you, I had no idea of the upbringing that you had, and it blows my mind because it changed my view on when people talk about things that happen to them, and I know not to what's the word, take away anyone's experience. I was blessed to have a really great upbringing, real awesome childhood, and and I used to, whenever I hear people talk about their hardships that they went through, the awful things they experienced, abuse and things like that, I was like, oh, that explains a lot of why someone is the way they are, and coming from being in our world that we were in, the violent nature of it. I remember I was talking about how our shows kept getting shut down because there'd be fights.
Yeah.
And I remember kind of explaining, because I remember I was telling you this, and you were like, oh, they shouldn't be acting this way. And I was like, no, Dad, like, you don't understand. The guy who was fighting, like, we know him, and he had a really bad childhood.
Yeah.
And so he fights at shows, and that's just what it is. And I remember your response was, I was in my 20s.
When you.
Yeah, still in my 20s, still barely in my 20s.
So to kind of piggyback off that and give a little backstory as well.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about cycles and when we talk about that song, it's become like one of the, I would even say like anthems when it comes to no bragging rights and
Yeah.
it comes to like it that song has made such an impact, and there were still a lot of people who really thought that song was about your experience.
Oh, yeah.
Right? About
Yeah.
your dad, right? And so to kind of set that record straight on not a stage platform or whatever. Like this was the Cycles was actually your story. Like this was based on your experiences, and that that story became essentially the song.
Yeah.
And I think that there was still like where a lot of people like like we always joke about the one guy with the review that was like, oh, I don't want to have him cry about his dad or whatever it is, but that's not what the song is, right? Sorry. So that being said, kind of going into
Yeah. So the context to a lot of this, or building context to this is, again, I guess I want to know, and I want our listeners to kind of understand, like, what your childhood was like, if you can guys take us into that, and then just what how did you become the man that you became? How did you, because you had everything working against you, like everything, like no constant father figure, or the ones you had weren't great. I know I don't know how far you want to go back, but like my dad used to have to like literally be in like fields, like working as a little kid basically, or even just being there while his mom worked. Like that was his childhood, like, and so
the childhood that I had, what happened was we had a father that was a alcoholic. I mean, he had a real bad problem. And he wasn't these kind, a lot of people get happy when they drink and that. No, not him. He was, he'd get violent, he'd get angry with my mom. And so we're always moving around. We're always trying to get away. And so, and we would, especially my brother, we would have to go to, this was in San Jose. There was a Market Street, a lot of bars and stuff, pool joints, and we had to go there get money from him. Because, he would gamble it. He would get rid of it. And so my brother, we would go there, and the people there would kind of help us, for him to give money, So, and so he was a very unhappy man. And what that brings is poverty. And so we had to, go hit the fields. We worked in agriculture. And back then, we used to go. There was no laws. I mean, there was no babysitters, so we were kids, and we were out. But not just myself. A bunch of kids were out in the field working.
Yeah.
And I remember at noon. I mean, I would just fall asleep in those boxes, and it would seem like a days were forever when you're a little kid and you're out there working out there. And then he would. What would happen? He didn't really work with us. But he say, you get to the end of the row, you're gonna have something there, and all we did was find beer cans, But anyway, he was, and he would get the money, so we would, because he would do the contracts, I guess. So we went. That was a lot of our life when we were young kids.
And how old were you at that time?
I was about 6 years old, five, even a little younger.
Okay.
And so yeah, we were always, during the summers, and San Jose was an interesting city when it came to agriculture and work, because we could go almost the whole, every crop, and we just about picked everything. We picked prunes, apricots, and we did pears, and the difficult one was strawberries. There's no shade. It's just yeah. So we do strawberries and just that field work. And what they would do a lot of times, we'd live in a barn up in the top. We'll stay there and we work in that picking prunes or whatever it was. So that was kind of my upbringing. We were small. Just about that time, we were having all kinds of problems at home. But there was always parties, always things, always a lot of booze in the drinks and things like that in the house. And about that time, 2 ladies came by our house, Sister Gertrude Smith and Esther Paredes. They came by and they started studying with my mother. And they started studying the Bible, giving her, in other words, they're the ones that brought us into the gospel and showed us about, about the Lord, and so that's when things started to kind of change. But now at the same time, we were still getting away from our father. We're moving to different places, and my mother used to do kind of housekeeping and ironing clothes and washing. And there was a time when she would hire workers. I mean, not hire, but she would cook for them and make lunches. My mother was a worker, and so it was about that time that these ladies came into our life, and it was about that time when my father, he was always in jail. He would go to, we wouldn't see him for a while. He'd be in jail for different things, and so what happened was that when I was around 7, I guess, or so in there, they finally the police department or whatever, they let them know, they sent him to this place was called Agnews. It was a mental hospital. Mm. And back then they did these lobotomies. They did this for some people. And he told my mom, if you don't sign, I won't bother you no more. And so that kind of, he lived up to it. And so he went to live with my sister. I have an older sister, a lot older. And so I would still see him. So I know as my father, So right. I would go visit him, see him, and things like that. But he was and we were growing up, so he would, and that's when the abuse, and I've seen things that happened to my poor mom and so that's about when that ended. And so then when we came into the church, when we learned about Christ and the gospel, things started changing. My mother would send us to church camps, summer camps, and we went through school. Things went quite well, and things started turning around for us. And we were still in poverty, poor, but my mother would do enough to get us by, and then we would go in the summers to work. And that was kind of the way I was kind of raised. And this was in San Jose, but back then San Jose wasn't what it is today.
Right.
It was a smaller city. Agriculture. I worked graduated from the field to the packing houses. We had a lot of canneries, and so I worked in canneries. And my sister started working there, and then my brother-in-laws were roofers, and then we all went into roofing. My brother. By the time he was 26, he had his own roofing company, and I would work with him and go to school.
That's hard work.
Oh yeah, no, I knew I didn't want. He said, "But yeah, we'll do the Perez brothers." And no.
So
Don't cut. So I got serious about school.
Yeah,
but it was that kind of a life, and. So I enjoyed in school. I played sports. That's what kept us out of trouble. Mm-hmm. We lived in gyms, and my brother, which really helped me, we both played for San Jose High School. We were both guards. We played for the basketball team, mm-hmm. And so he's the one that got me in as a younger kid. He got me into the YMCA, and I kind of followed his footsteps, and. That's what kept me out of, because we lived in some bad neighborhoods.
Right.
And so I would go to the YMCA, and there was a nice guy there because we couldn't afford it, and I'd get this pass for the first time, and I use it over and over again. The guy would let me go in. He said, "If I get this guy out of the streets,
Right.
And so I would go and do weights, and I go swimming there. They had basketball, and so what kept us, my brother and myself, was gyms. We would play in basketball after school and stuff, and then the church, that was kind of what helped us out of our neighborhood. That's about the way it happened.
And so and now when you said that your father had been admitted into like the mental hospital, so they actually did the lobotomy on him, or
no? My mother didn't sign.
Okay, so he was like, just sign this and I'll leave you alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were a little older by then,
Mm-hmm.
and so he just he didn't want to have that happen. He didn't want to.
Right.
And they had him in.
Yeah.
He used to go to a lot of jails and things, and when he went there, that kind of really sobered him up as far as getting serious about, not causing us any more harm, problem, because there was some bad scenes, and we always lived in the house behind, kind of,
A little back
never
house.
lived in the back house. We never lived in the front house. We lived in the
Yeah.
and we were all packed. I slept this way, my brother slept this way, same bed.
Yeah.
So it was, but it was, the good thing is we had food, and my mom, was, like I say, a real good worker.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then we would go in the summers, and I don't know, we would get a contract on a field, and we would work there during the summer and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that, no, but he never did. After that, he was gone.
And what was like you and your family's mentality after that? Was it just, we've seen the bad in this, and we don't want to live this way, or what? Like, how was it? Because when I first met you, you've always been like the most kind and very respectful up front, and very open and inviting to everybody, and to come from that type of upbringing, like what was it that was the trigger to say, hey, we're not doing that?
Yeah, because they say hurt people, and
Right.
patterns of abuse continue. Like what?
Yeah, we had an older brother, Pete, and we felt safe when he was at home, and he had to do stuff he really didn't want to do. He had to wrestle, fight with my dad and stuff, and so he was kind of our protector. So he kind of left home because he didn't want to be in that kind of role, and he ended up being a lot like my father. He ended up drinking, and really he fighting. Well, he was getting in fights and things. He was aggressive, and
Which makes sense. Like
Yeah.
that makes sense.
It's like instilled.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
around it, you see it, which is again like.
so
Yeah.
he was for us, he was. I feel safe when he was at home, but he wasn't hardly there
Yeah.
because of the role he had to take, And I remember one time, I probably shouldn't even mention this. One time, my mother was cooking getting some water warmed up for coffee, and what happened was that, and good thing she had a plastic apron. Father got the water and threw it on her, and my brother, it was a wooden stove. My brother got a log, and he got it, banged him right on the head, and I remember he went like that, blood, and it was just, we saw scenes as kids,
Things that you shouldn't see as a kid, basically.
right.
And so
And so those were, we had a lot of situations that were not, as a young kid, that they were kind of scary,
Yeah.
But anyway, like I mentioned, there was a change in our situation after he had gone on. He moved on, and we had grown up.
That's good.
So he's kind of just navigating as in like just not wanting to be like he was the example of what not to be.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah, no, we had, I had some other role models, brother-in-laws and people that, like our family, almost all our family stayed in Mexico. And so we hardly had any cousins here.
Mm-hmm.
So our cousins became, we had a brother-in-law that was much older. My sister was much older. In fact, she was pregnant with her child when my mother was pregnant with me. And so, but his family became like our cousins, and we were very much. Those were really our cousins and things, people kids we hung with.
Yeah, that mentality of understanding that I've seen this happen. I've seen the hurt that this has caused, and I've experienced hurt that it's caused. So I don't want to be that person. It's huge, but I think it's also a conscious decision that you have to make.
Right.
Like with your brother, kind of going down that path of alcohol and things like that. I remember for me, and this is nowhere near as what you went through, but when I was a kid, being the kid that moved around all the time, I was always the new kid in school, especially living in the South. I'm one of 2 Filipino kids in the entire school. So, you get picked on, I was constantly getting into fights. I remember, I think I told the story here. I got into a fight wearing a George Washington costume when I was a kid. Did I tell the story here?
Yeah, I've heard it.
We lived in Tennessee at that time. We had to do book reports where we had to do presentations, and I was doing a presentation on George Washington. So me and my dad, we went and got a costume. I've always been a little theatrical, and I came in dressed as George Washington. I have a picture. I'll find it. My aunt has it. And I read my speech to the class, and this kid who had picked on me since I was a new kid there kept calling me tighty tight tights, right? And I got upset. So he kept saying it and laughing, making fun of me while I was presenting. So I presented my entire book report, and I finished it. And then I put my stuff down, I thanked my teacher, and then I jumped across the desk and I punched him in the face. Just on top of him in a George Washington costume. It was like 7 or something like that. But like just that being that kid that got picked on, I remember when I got older and I got scrappier, I got to a point where I had friends now, things were cool, like, whatever. And I remember like audibly making fun of somebody else and then seeing that I hurt them. And I remember that moment and going, you're just starting to become exactly what you've dealt with this entire time. And from that moment, it was like, I still joke with my friends, if we're close, like that's like the biggest form of endearment for me. But that was like the turning point for me where I was like, I can't be this person that every year I have to deal with these people. And now it's me. So it's definitely, I think there's definitely a conscious decision of like, okay, you have the opportunity to make changes. Are you going to do that? Or are you going to, like you said, hurt people? So yeah, I got to find that picture of me in a George Washington outfit.
Dude,
That was awesome.
a little Filipino
I had the
kid.
hat, the triangle hat and everything.
Yeah, we lived in neighborhoods that were pretty rough, and my brothers were fighters. I mean, they right away they try to find
The biggest kid.
and but yeah, a lot of it had to do with my mother. Mother did play both roles. She was very strict, very always spoke to us about how to act, how to stay away from fighting, and she would give us good counsel. She was really good. And one thing that she did when I was in my early teens is she would send me to church camps. We had in where we lived, in our conference, we had Wona out there by Yosemite, and we would go there to our camp, and in some of those camps, I heard that's where I really first understood the gospel. They bring some good speakers, and so yeah, and most kids, like your teenage years, you get a little rebellious and stuff.
Yeah.
But thanks to my mother, I always remembered things that she would tell me, and we had some good pastors that pastored our churches, and so those were all good reasons for us to go in the other way.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that was I felt a big peace, and I feel bad about that. My father, when he left, it was and like I say, I'd go visit him later when I was older, but it was, because I was wondering. I used to wonder, why did we move so much? I went through so many schools. We move all, we were getting away from the violence, and
Don't even. It's like that's not even the thought of why you're leaving.
Yeah.
So
I think
When you saw him later, what was that? What were those conversations like? What was that exchange like?
yeah, no, he was like I say, he was living with an older sister, and he still have his binges, because when you have alcohol, and she went through a lot, having him there, and but good thing she had a husband, and he was the truck driver, so he wouldn't be there, but a lot of times, but
when he was there,
he was more settled, he was older, and in fact he died in a fight, he died in a fight, got beat up,
wow,
and his pancreas or something, I forgot what it was. So I was in the army. In fact, I was in army at the time, and they called me. So I went. I flew into Stockton. He was living in Stockton. I went there and got a chance to see him.
Oh.
Got a chance to see him, be there
didn't know that.
during that time.
New stories for you, Mike?
Any stories?
Yeah. Yeah. So. Yeah, there's a lot of stories.
Nice. So yeah, coming out of like poverty and doing school and stuff. Was I guess the army, was that kind of what got you into being able to go to college and things like that, or
Oh yeah,
how
yeah.
did college even come about?
Right. Yeah, when I graduated, I was the first one that really went on to study at college level. In fact, when I graduated, I was told, "Hey, that's not for you. You got to go work." So I did. I went out to work for a little bit, and then I went back to school. My friends were all going to school, college, and so I was encouraged by them. And so that's when I went to school, and then I got drafted. When I was in Virginia, the Army allowed me to study at the University of Virginia in Charlottesville. So I did all my the classes that I needed to go on to get my BA.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took those classes there at from the University of Virginia. And then when I got out, I went to San Jose State University. It was my home. It was there at home, and
Right.
and I had VA help. And so I completed my school, and then and I had two good friends. I had two real. It's important who you hang with. I had a couple of friends that were really doing well in school, and they went on to Stanford, and they were my roommates. And they said, "Hey, come, we'll get you in. Become, we know who you talk to." And so I went to get my. I went to meet the persons. The people that they had to go through a panel. And then later I took the exam, and and so I ended up there.
At Stanford.
Stanford, yeah.
Wow.
And then I completed my a master's and did some post-grad work. And Stanford's very good. They're very good about getting you jobs. I mean, they find you good jobs.
And what was your master's in?
My master's was in education and supervision, administration type of thing, for being a principal and teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, that's what I did. And then when I switched over to ministry, I got another master's in divinity. I was another 3 years in seminary in Andrews.
Wow.
And then I did my doctorate here, and I finished all my doctoral work in Andrews, and I came to Fuller, and that's where I got my degree, my doctor's degree.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah, that's basic. That's a. Yeah, one of the things that I always learned, I guess, it helped when I was a child, to hang in there. Sometimes I didn't do so well, but I would stay in the class, and I would come out, and it was like that most of my school.
Mm-hmm.
I never gave up. I would continue to go through my studies, my school, and somehow it always come out. sometimes in financial and stuff like that. Well, the Army helped me on that with the Veterans Bill. And so I was able to use that and plus work. I was a custodian. When I was going to college, I was a custodian of a junior high. I'd clean the school after school, I'd go work for about 5 hours. So I did that. And so I had different jobs. I worked for the can company. I worked for, Canco. I worked for Canco, and I worked for another can company. I was a press operator. And so that's what I did when I was going to school. I used to work and go to school at the same time. And I was able to complete my studies, yeah.
You are a man of many hats.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's impressive. That's just even now, like our generation, is like, I gotta work and go to school.
Yeah.
Man, and it's just yeah.
I had roommates that would help me, with the rent and stuff, apartments and things we lived in, and go to school in the daytime, work in the evening. And I had to, like the custodial job, I could do it there it was 5 hours, and I could do it about 3 hours, and then study.
And then
just stay there and study.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's different jobs, but can company and roofing in the summer with my brothers. Yeah.
Perez brothers.
Yeah. Like, no thanks.
Man, roofing, especially during the summertime, is the.
Oh yeah, roofing was. I mean, we would with our T-shirts, we still get a suntan. It was so bad.
Yeah.
One of my cousins, he did roofing almost into his. How long did Paul do roofing for?
Yeah, about 50, wasn't it?
To his 50s.
About
50s,
around
and
50.
then he went back to school, and now he's like a X-ray something.
Yeah, he's an X-ray technician. He finished. What do they call that one? Nuclear medicine.
Mm-hmm.
But he went back to school. My brother did that too, by the way. He had a roofing company, and till the age, he put his kids through school. After 25 years, he put his kids through school, and then he went back and got a master's, got a BA and then a master's, and he was able to pastor for about 20 years.
Wow.
So. Yeah, he went back to school, and education is so important and there's really no age limit. And I really encourage young kids, to go to school and get an education because it makes all the difference in the world. To go to school and just get an education.
So Mike has been playing punk rock, since he was a kid, and you guys have always been supportive of that. But what was your thoughts and mindsets when he came back and said, "Hey, I'm gonna go back to school. I'm gonna go back to be social work."
Yeah, no, really, I knew he was doing a lot of good things out there.
Mm-hmm.
Because we used to follow him, and also, some of those emails and stuff. We knew he was doing a lot of good things. And so we never discouraged that because one thing he told me a long time ago, he said, "Dad, I could help people you can never help."
I didn't say it like in a mean way. I didn't say it like in a take that way.
It sounds a little disrespectful, but
I said it in a very humbling way.
Yeah, no, he said no. Yeah, no, because he mentioned, he could reach people I couldn't, and which is true. And I found that out when I went to some of the concerts. People came up to me and told me how he had helped them.
Mm-hmm.
And what he meant really was, he was reaching some kids that, in my ministry, in my work, I could never.
Right.
Yeah, but no, he said it a nice way. I was just too straight out. But so we knew he was doing some good things out there because of we've gone to several of his his shows, concerts, and he used to introduce us, and a lot of kids would tell us what they had experienced and how he had helped them and things like that. So, but when he went to school, we knew that was good because it would open more doors, and he would be able to get some of the training that he needed for what he was gonna. But he really had in his heart and mind what he wanted to do. So we were happy for that. I was happy for that, and it was interesting. The person that kind of encouraged him there was a young lady. I was her school teacher.
That's right.
And she was at La Sierra University teaching there. And I was her teacher when she was about in the 4th grade. And so,
Shout out to
yeah.
Daphne Thomas.
Yeah, Daphne.
She's the one that when I was working, and so she was friends with one of the kids that I coached. I was coaching at the time, so she was friends with one of the mothers, and so I didn't know Daphne. I knew the mom of the kid I coached, and so we were talking, and she knew that I was in school, and asking how I was doing. She asked what classes I was taking. And I was like, oh, I'm doing or I think she asked what my major was, and I was like, oh, it's psychology. And so she's like, why, Daphne?
Yeah.
She's like, why? And I was just like, oh, well, I tried to give her like a real just quick BS answer, but she being like she's like, she broke me down like 5 minutes. She's like, so you like to help people, you like what you like to be involved in and what they do and how you help them, this and that. And she's like, have you thought about social work?
Yeah.
I was like, no. That's what my mom does. I don't do that. I don't want to do that. And she's like, so then she like explained to me, what it was and how there are paths to doing like therapy and things like that. So it's funny that she's the one who got me into social work and then actually got me into La Sierra.
And that's the first time your baseball kids saw you cry.
That's the first time I saw me cry. But it's funny that she was one of my dad's students.
That's crazy.
Yeah, she was my student.
Such
a real
a small
quiet
world.
little girl, and her sister Mary was I think a year or two ahead of her. And so I got to know their family because I was pastor, a teacher and principal, and so got to know them well. And so I was really happy to hear that it was Daphne who helped him, and she was a good student. She was serious at that age. She was a young little girl, but she was focused, and so. We were very happy to, that he went and finished, got a degree. And I'd like to see him now get a master's. And
it's never too late, Mike.
Never too late.
It'll happen.
Because that'll open more doors, Like I say, education is really key. And it's never too late.
my dad, I'm sorry to put you out there like this, Dad, but when I graduated, I was already getting my paperwork done to submit for a master's program, but I was also just like going through a hard time because I just felt like I want, even while like it was hard doing school and it's hard being away because like I felt like I was doing so much when I was doing music, right? I felt like I was helping. I felt like I was doing tangible things. I was doing things. And so it was hard for me to like, I felt like I'd been sitting on my hands so much, even though I know that's not what it was at all. I know I was learning very important things, but I just had this like itch to like want to work, and I wanted to like find a job and do that, not even like MBR stuff yet. This was like, I wanted to, find a job in social work. And I remember like, my dad being like, yeah, if you need to work, go work and then go back to your master's. And then recently he's like, I shouldn't have said that.
He should have gone right through.
Well, right around that time, that's when Burner State happened, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a foot into music again.
It was. Yeah, I blame Burner State.
We started the podcast, right?
Yeah.
Right around that time is when I finally convinced you to get on and do this. So.
But, so we have some questions, a couple that came in. I have two on my end. Do you want to read the ones from the podcast?
Yeah, let me look.
Page.
Right now.
I got just a heavy hitter right out the gates. If we want to start with that.
Yeah, go for it.
So
Focus up.
our buddy, his name's Martin. He's Martin. Actually, we got to see him out in on this last little run when we came through Arizona. It was cool seeing him. But his question asks, what is your proudest moment in life? Or one of them.
Yeah, one of them, my proudest moment, when I felt a real relief when I completed my education. I get my, and also a proud moment when you guys were born.
Glad we made it.
But yeah, when I started seeing some results and being able to do some of the things that I always wanted to do, and that came after graduating from my university studies.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one I have is from a Jordan Wilson. She asks, what was it like being Mike's dad during his high school years?
Which I think we asked Martha when she was here too.
Yeah.
No, he was very involved in sports, and we always supported his his baseball, and he's very good. In fact, he won some awards in baseball, and
Coach's award.
that
Find the hardest.
Participation.
he got some trophies that we have at home,
Nice.
and so yeah, he was very much into. He was active in school, and so we never had any problems, with Mikey. He was always friendly and had friends over, and then he got. We never knew what was going to happen. We bought him a guitar, but we really enjoyed seeing how he was able to, develop his voice more and more, and just really use his talent. So that's what it was in high school, because he started his band in high school. And then, so those were good years. There was very good years. And when he graduated, we're very happy when he graduated from high school. So, that's basically it.
That was a very big achievement for me, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to first learn on an acoustic guitar, and then once I was kind of showing progress on that, then of course I wanted an electric guitar. I wanted
Of course,
the Gibson.
you wanted
the Gibson SG, and I remember my dad being because the Gibson, I forget how much it was, like $1,000 or something. It was like something insane. My
Back
dad,
then, yeah, it's probably worth a lot more now.
probably, yeah.
Yeah.
And I just remember my dad being like, looking at that, and then I'm sure like the $200 Squire or whatever, being like, learn on this first. Learn on this. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I think it was kind of like that. I think my dad was like, you get this, we can leave with this and an amp today, like a little crate amp. We'll leave with this and with this today, like, or otherwise this, like, we'll have to wait a while to do payments on this kind of thing, like.
Oh, the
And so,
Gibson,
so I got a Fender Squire and I
As
remember,
we all do.
yeah, I remember being okay with it. I was like Billy Joe kind of rocks.
Yeah.
He rocks the Fender, so I can rock one too. But and then I got my Gibson SG.
Yeah, definitely. Like we all started on a couple hundred. Yeah, black and white Squire.
I love
like
that thing, man.
Oh, yeah. You still
Stickered
do
it
that,
all
don't you?
up.
The Squire?
No, I think we ended up selling.
Oh, yeah? Oh, okay.
All right, so I got some from the Walking Blind page. A couple of them are heavy, a couple of them are not. So we'll kind of switch the order in here. First one is from Sam, and she just said, "I don't have any questions, but tell him hi. He's the kindest man alive."
Sam is
Sam is
Sean. Sean's wife, the bass player. Remember they stayed with us.
Oh, yeah, I remember her.
Mm-hmm.
Our buddy Beardley from Share the Backline said, "Your dad seems like a man of fine taste. What's his go-to order from Del Taco?"
From Del Taco, we like the green burritos.
Nice. That's actually a good move. That's actually a good move.
So that's our they're the podcast that we are in a violent war against right now. We are Team Taco Bell. They are Team Del Taco. So that's them just trying to hurt us.
Harry said, "What impact did the military have on your faith?"
The military, you know, the discipline. I think that it's a regimen. You know, you got to go through. You know, when you go into service, and there was a chain of command, and you know, if you get places if you play by the rules. Because I saw a lot of guys losing their stripes and things like that, you know, and it was really sad. You know, they wouldn't come back, or they come back late from a furlough or whatever when they went home, and I think the military it helped me. I used to work at a dispensary. I gave a lot of shots, injections to soldiers and stuff like that. Preparing them for Vietnam and Korea, and so it helped me with discipline to get things done, move up on the ranks, and so it was good. Military was a good experience for me.
But how did it impact your faith?
Oh, my faith. Yeah. I mean, I think that. The way it impacted my faith, you know, I had a lot of trust in God as far as, you know, He would take care of me. There was a lot of fear back then because a lot of people, I mean, we lost a lot of soldiers and a lot of friends. And I had faith that God was going to take care of me, was going to be with me. And I stayed close to God. I think even more. I remember a lot of my friends would say, you know, usually soldiers when they come back from the military, they come back worse.
Yeah.
But you know, marijuana and all that stuff that was going on back then. But no, I had faith in God. I trusted Him during that war during that time. And, you know, I was one thing that I remember when I finished boot camp or the what they used to call the MOS, what you're going to do in the Army, and I was going to be a medic. They told us at one time, listen carefully, because at one time you're all going to end up in Vietnam. And, you know, so, and I was about a 1% that didn't go, I mean, real short. And I think that, I thank God for that. Even though like war got a lot worse later, but I didn't, and I was ready for whatever came because I got the training and everything like that. But I had faith. It helped my faith to see, you know, what was going on in my life and the life of others. That I met Desmond Doss, the one from
Hacksaw Ridge.
Hacksaw Ridge. I met him. He came to talk to us and encourage us, you know, in case we went over, you know, what to do, and showed us how the rope, how he brought 75 soldiers down that ridge. He kind of talked to us and young soldiers, you know, he kind of encouraged us, you know, and talking about faith, you know, to, you know, keep your faith, you know, and you're going to see things happen, you know, you're going to. And so people like him, people like Desmond Doss, and he lived in Virginia, West Virginia, so he would come, and so I got to see him. A nice man.
Let's see. Karima asks, and this is to preface this, she's been struggling with what's going on, like you know, with Israel and Gaza and everything. She asked, how do you feel that God can bring people together to stop the violence against people? It's a heavy one.
Yeah, how God can do that. I think there's a lot of diplomacy going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're, you could what they're seeing what war is doing, and people are stepping in and wanting to bring an end to this. And more important is saving lives,
Mm-hmm.
getting the hostages out of getting them back and safe into their families and things like that. And so I believe that I was listening to Blinken, our Secretary of War, and how they're working hard to try to get lower the the anger, whatever's going on, to get people to reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what people are. That's why the media, in that way, it really highlights what's going on out there. It makes people aware, and then people will respond. That's what happened to the Vietnam War, by the way. The protests and the marches and all that ended the war.
It brought awareness.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so the media is playing a big role. I'd like to listen to several newscasts, not just some of these others, and I think that they're getting to Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, and they got to do something to save people's lives. That people are, So yeah, I'd like to see that. I'd like to see peace in that part of the world.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to happen. I think it needs to happen. A two-state solution that people talk about. Yeah, So I think things are moving forward, and I think that they're gonna do something about it pretty soon to try to bring those hostages home, and it's through communication.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to communicate, and when they don't talk to each other, they got to communicate, and that's what there seems to be doing right now. They're communicating, and they're trying to get the both sides to reason, and so yeah, I think that would be my answer. Communication.
That's the path.
Yeah.
All right. And then last one we have here from Janelli V. What's the secret to a long-lasting marriage?
Oh yeah,
50 years.
yeah,
50 years.
50 years. Yeah. You gotta keep your marriage fresh, and do all you can to enrich your marriage. And by that I mean going out on dates, doing things, vacations, doing things together, and communicating, and that's one good thing. My wife, we've I've been very fortunate. We've always communicated, and doing things. I see my priorities. If people ask, my priorities is God first, and then your spouse, and you try to do everything you can to enrich your marriage. You do fun things. Third priority, your children. Do everything to be there for them, helping them, and with their schoolwork. If they're kids, you help them with their homework. Go to their events. Fourth priority is your work. Work hard. Give it everything you got. And my fifth priority is probably the church. Worship God. Go praise God. Worship God.
Mm.
And then if you had another priority, it'd probably be personal time for yourself. Things that you enjoy doing. If it's whatever, golf, reading, whatever you enjoy doing, do something that really helps you personally, that you enjoy doing. Those would be my priorities to help a marriage last for a long time.
Ah,
Yeah.
I can what's it called?
Mm-hmm.
Vouch.
Vouch for the fact that my parents go on dates.
Yeah.
And been
So So how much?
Sad I'm not invited on these dates, especially the ones that involve food.
How much of the budget is set aside for dates, and how much is the budget is set aside for decorations in your house?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, one good thing about the decoration, she keeps things.
Yeah,
Go in the garage.
She recycles them.
Oh, yeah. But one of the things we've always done is we've had an allowance for each other. I give her an allowance, and since we both get money comes in, we budget, and we have an allowance. This you could spend any way you want. We have money, and she likes to spend it on the kids, on the family, and so do I. We go out and do dinners together. We really enjoy our family, and like I mentioned, that's probably my third priority.
Yeah.
After my spouse. A lot of people put the kids in front of their spouse, but when the couple, when you're together and your kids see that you love each other, you care for each other, you do things, it brings security to your kids, and they feel secure when they see mom and dad, that they are getting along, they love each other, and so that's why I think you need to keep on your priorities. Your husband and wife need to really be together. And when the kids are gone, you're left, with,
Yeah.
So it's so important our kids are very important to us. Our children have always been very important to us.
And that sets the tone for healthy relationships for your kids as well, because they see what they should be expecting in relationships, and not settling for less.
Yeah. So that's what's kind of kept us together for 50 years, and it's, taking time together. Vacations are very good, very important. Even if you don't have a lot of money, we were very. I really believe in saving, even if it's whatever it is, save for a rainy day.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice, Dad.
So you want to get into our playlist?
Yeah.
Get a song on here, and
Yeah, so we like to we have a playlist that we have for the podcast, and every time we have a guest on, or not even when it's just Mike and myself, we like to end the show with adding a song to the playlist. And it could be any song, something that you've been listening to lately, or something that maybe is a song that you just like and you just like to share.
Yeah, one of the songs that I really, it's been one of my songs that I've liked is Unchained Melody.
Nice.
The Righteous Brothers, even before them, it first came out in the 50s, I think it was in the 50s, by Al Hibbler. He was the first one that came up with that song. Not Hitler, Hibbler.
Hibbler.
Al Hibbler, yeah.
Al Hibbler.
And he, I understand he was blind, but it was a big hit when I was a kid. And then the Righteous Brothers, I went to see them sing that song way back in the 60s. And I went to a concert that they were giving in San Jose. And yeah, I liked, that's one of my songs. I like the Cycles. It says a little bit about the experience like we just talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And Repeater. Some of those are some of the songs that I. So yeah, those are some of my songs that I really
That's
enjoy.
awesome. Mike, what do you want to add this week?
Oh man. Since we're playing with Ghosts Inside this
new one?
weekend. Huh?
The new one? Or you want to go old school?
Man. I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna do one of my favorite ones because it has some of my favorite vocalists on it. I want to do Ghosts Inside the Conflict. The song with Tommy Green from Sleeping Giant.
Sick.
What are you throwing on, Michael?
I am gonna throw on just because I think this is so funny. Our boys in Desmadre put out a cumbia song.
Oh,
So we're gonna add that to the Walking Blind playlist because it is. There's nothing heavy about it. But what I like about what Desmadre is doing is they're not afraid to do like kind of whatever they want
whatever
at
they
this
want,
point.
man. They
So,
really are doing whatever they want.
and,
That's Martin Dad. He's in another band.
yeah.
He's in basically a cholo hardcore band.
Oh yeah.
and I talked to Martin about
Martin,
it.
the one we know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I talked to Martin about it, and he's like, dude, this is like, it's crazy that this is opening doors into other Latin artists and music for Desmadre also. So it's huge. It's cool though, you know.
Is it how Burner State is going to be a Filipino fest band?
I would say yes if you guys like wrote a song in Tagalog. If Burner State wrote a song in Tagalog, it would be Desmadre doing this cumbia song. Have you heard it?
Spanish?
I'll play it for you afterwards. It's interesting.
Nice.
Sick.
Oh,
Well,
yeah, there's that. Thanks for coming on.
Sure. Yeah.
100
Thanks for
episodes.
having me.
Yeah,
We appreciate it.
100th episode. And people will probably be surprised that we've been doing it that long.
Yeah. we definitely don't act like it, but
That's awesome. Good.
so for us at Walking Blind Pod everywhere, walkingblindpod@gmail.com. If you want to shoot us an email, shoot us some questions. We are getting back on the grind with our shorts, and everything. So we've got we're trying to keep the social medias updated as well. I reached out to Gabe to get a shirt done for us. So hopefully some new merch for the holiday season. And then we're gonna try and stay more consistent with merch and with all those things so that we can push.
Yeah, and
the show.
to remember to support the podcast, please follow, like, subscribe, leave a review, leave comments, something. Anything helps. If you want us to keep doing
If
this.
you want us to keep doing this,
please.
well, don't tell them that. So we're gonna keep doing.
We're gonna
this.
keep doing it. We're gonna be doing it. But yeah, we can get wheels going.
Yeah.
Wheels going sooner. So
Cool. We love you guys. We'll see you guys soon. 100 episodes in. Thank you guys so much. Peace.
peace.
For the